truth is democracy is not a form of governing the people, but it's collective action. The second rule is changing the story. There is a story that we have heard from centuries now, and that is a story of life as a battle, of winning at all costs, of homo hominis lupus, of people fighting, of competition, through which I gain my right to live. But it seems that this story is changing, and it's not changing like the world has become different. It's changing because some of many scientists from different fields, going from the game theory, life theory, biology, economics, politics, are starting to see things under a different pattern, under a different paradigm. And this is the paradigm of cooperation. There is a very beautiful example. Some years ago, some researchers went into a forest. They have chosen a tree, and they started to measure each branch of that tree, even the latest one, the most little one. And they did, after this, following some fractals models, they did the map of the tree, the map of the growing tree, the map of growth of the tree. And then they mapped also the forest. And the result was that the map of the forest was exactly the same with that tree. And the tree was chosen, it could be any other tree. I will speak with these new ideas and paradoxes and theories about cooperation, because it's quite very interesting, and they can change the paradigm, and they are really like common sense things. So there is the prisoner dilemma also, that is going in the direction, logically, in the direction of cooperation is better than fighting at all price. And well, the prisoner dilemma has a lot of development, and some of them are really complicated. I present you a very simple one, and funny. So there are two prisoners, two criminals that did something together, and they are put in different rooms. They don't know what the other is saying about what happened. And the first possibility is that they both confess. In that case, they go to prison, of course, because there is a case against them. There is another situation when the prisoner one don't confess, and prisoner two confess. And here is the dilemma, because if the one that confessed is becoming a witness of the state against his partner criminal, and is getting less punishment, so he's happy. And the other one that didn't confess is getting the major punishment, right? It's a similar situation if the prisoner two confessing and this one don't. And the happiest situation is when they both refuse to confess. And in that case, there is not possible to make a case against them, so they escape in a way. There are different forms of this, and it's not about being having solidarity while doing criminal things. It's not about that. It's about trusting your partner, trusting that the partner will not cheat. And here comes a development of this prisoner dilemma that has to do with economics, and the fact that we could maybe in that new scenario, in our scenario, change the idea of market to an idea of barters. And here they did an experiment. They took a $100 bill And they put two persons into different rooms again. No one knew the rules at the beginning, and no one knew what the partner will say. And they said to the first person, so here is $100 bill. Please take a split of how much do you want to remain to you, and how much do you want to be given to the other. And some people say, I don't know, let's say that they say, well, I want $99 for me and $1 for the other. Then the researchers go to the other and they say, look, mister, we have here $1 for you and 99 went to your partner. Do you accept this offer or do you want to change it? And usually people say, I don't accept this offer because they are feeling cheated. And if they don't accept that offer, both of them, the people, don't get anything. So it's quite interesting. Why would I refuse $1 or $20 just because the other is getting too much? How this thing about, I don't know, rightfulness and trying not to be cheated functions in our head. And it seems that they did this experiment longer and longer. And what's very interesting is that almost in all the cases, people tended to go for 50-50. It was even by not knowing the rules. They tended to go to 50-50. That doesn't mean that we are angels and we are doing just thing. But that's the experiment, and it's quite interesting that altruistic punishment can be the glue that can bring the society together. Because there are some cases when people are ready to give their lives to punish the cheaters. And here comes a very strange thing. In our brain, when we punish the cheaters, the neurons involved are that for reward. Even if we risk our life, even if we don't get not even $20, even if we don't get anything, punishing cheaters, it's a glue that can link the society. And also there is an idea, institution should become instances of collective action. Collective action, also an idea to punish cheaters in a way. There is a peer-to-peer network in this thing and a BitTorrent. And you cannot stay there long if you are not giving something, if you are not sharing something with the others. And there is a system through which they punish cheaters, the one that take only for them. And there is another, and with this all those experiments that I really like because I'm an experimental theater director and an experiment. The other experiment that is linked also to the soil and to our resources and to nature and to the world we live in. And that's the tragedy of the commons. There were some researchers that asked something really simple. If there are some people that are having at their disposal some resources, they will end up by destroying those resources or not. And it seems that almost all the time people are destroying the resources. For instance, if the resources is ships, and I have my ships, you have your ships, you have your ships, and we try to raise our ships in order to raise our property individually life. Those ships will end by destroying what is around because of the superpopulation. It's also that there are some successful communities that manage not to destroy their resources. And how did they do this? By escaping the prisoner dilemma, by trusting each other, by sharing things in a trustful way. Because if you think of yourself as a prisoner, threatened, I will escape. So it's the same with the resources, in a way. So there is Reingold, one of the freest men, one of the most playful persons. Yes, he is. Even you can see in the way he dresses that he's already very colorful. And there is another one from the Wall Street brothers in New York. And this is my favorite, Ignoralia Motors. These are his shoes. Usually he paints his shoes. And he is asking himself, why doesn't anybody feel free enough to paint their own shoes? He wrote a book called Smart Mobs, The Next Social Revolution. And he said that based on what happened, for instance, in Philippines, where a mass group of people only on the base of receiving a text message where it was written, dress in black and be there in that place at that hour. There were hundreds of people dressed in black, and just by the force of the fact that they were many, they managed to get down the president. And then he said, what's happening now is because we have the possibility to obtain more information than the one that the politicians wants to give us. That's the reason why it appears a new form of social organization nowadays. Usually people change the form of social organization depending on the amount of information that they can have access to. For instance, we were tribes one time, and then we got into nations and markets just because the printing got out. And now, with the internet and mobile phones, there is this network thing that can form smart mobs. The structure of smart mobs is similar to the source of information. It's a network. There are no leaders in smart mobs. That's why even if they're trying to find leaders nowadays, there aren't. Because a smart mob is a network in which people that don't listen to alien orders, that are autonomous, but not isolated, exchange freely informations or actions freely with who they want. So that's the main idea of smart mobs. So there are some experiences, a group of people that are keeping their mind autonomous and free by manipulations and things. It seems that a group of people like this can be more intelligent than each individual. There is an improvisation phenomenon called group mind. When you are letting the ideas circulate and you don't block the proposal of the partner or your proposal, then you get out of your brains as a group more interesting stuff that anyone could do by himself. So there is a smart mobile form of social organization that we see now, and there is this group mind resources. The experiment is taken from game theory. They did a kind of platform, and they tested the capacity of a group to predict, I don't know, but to predict who will go and take Oscar next year. And it seems that the group always was successful in anticipating the results. This happens also in other forms of life. For instance, many bees can feel that the danger is coming, or they can anticipate. There is a form of anticipation that a group can provide, and each individual taken isolated cannot, or can, but he speaks for himself. It's okay if you have questions, please. It's okay, you are having fun. Glenn, who are the grandfathers of improvisational theater. One of them is Feltos. Before he died, he said, I'm so bored to be the finest person in the room, so I have to leave. And then he donated his skull to the theater where he worked in order to be distributed in York, the skull in Hamlet, with the commission to be distributed in Hamlet. And the skull is there, we can see it on the internet also. They fight it for cooperation. People see that it's a more efficient way than competing. Of course competing, it exists, but taking it as the major law that everyone is listening to. Because this idea with competing, with me against you, is keeping us atomized, like little isolated atoms that fight against each other. And tell me, which is the most wonderful dream of a politician or a dictator, to have an atomized society. I remember '89 when there was the half Romanian revolution that we did not finish yet. My mother did the smartest gift to me. While passing our apartment protesting, she said, "Where should I take my girl?" I was 13 years old at that moment. And there were hundreds of people. And if one of them had bread, they split the bread with the others. And it was a funny moment. Someone told that he heard on radio that Ceausescu forbidden gatherings in the street of more than 5 people. We had the power to laugh at that moment. Why? Because we were hundreds of people. What if we were only 4? They could keep us atomized and not powerful enough. But what's stopping us from cooperating with the other, and what can we do about it?